Daniel, Daniel, where have you gone? I keep losing my place. This thing is so fat. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So, to finish up Daniel, 10. So we get this picture of the history going up to the Kittim. Then 31 of chapter 11, forces will come and profane the temple. They will abolish the perpetual sacrifice and install the disastrous abomination. And here it will be explained. It is, as we said, the statue of the Olympian Zeus. It will actually say what it is. And that's what the disastrous abomination, or what the New Testament calls the abomination of the desolation. Many of you have heard it. It's in Jesus' little apocalypse. It's in the Synoptics. It's not in the Gospel of John. And that's from Daniel. And that has to do with these events that ended up with Antiochus Epiphanes putting this Olympian Zeus here. Those who break the covenant, we're going to hear about that in the Maccabean books, he will corrupt with flatteries. But those who know God will stand firm. The Maccabean, Hasidim, the Maccabean followers at one point are called Hasidim. Some books translate that into English. I use 2 S's, some do 1 S. It can be spelled either way, Hasidim. The reason I like to use 2 S's is because I like the parallel of this gentleman who knows about these things in our front row here will tell you, with Tzaddikim. We always spell Tzaddikim in Hebrew, the righteous ones, with 2 D's. This is a parallel term, Hasid. One's from Hesed, one's from Tzedek. So I think Hasid should be with 2 S's too.
That's all easy.
Huh?
That's all easy.
Well, we're not worrying about whether it's a T, Z, or Z. That's just a matter of how you're going to translate. I'm worried about the double letter. I'm not worried about the Z. I want the TZ, you can do the tzaddik, obviously it's I don't want to confuse people. One has to, but the double letter is the key. So that's why I would do the double letter in Hasid, though in many books you'll find it with a single S. Tzaddik, righteous one, is always double D. Okay. So, they will instruct many for some days over there. We brought down by the sword and flame, by captivity and plundering, and thus brought down. Little hope they will they receive, though many will be plotting on their side of the learned. Some will be brought down, and the result of which is certain. They will be purged, purified, and made white. So the people who die in this struggle are going to be made white, and you're going to have a lot of whitening in the New Testament too, in terms of being resurrected, if you like, or being pure for the end of days. Until the time of the end, for the appointed time is still to come. The king will do as he pleases, growing more. So this person is not seeing the end, the writer of this book. But he is talking about the wrath. The king will utter incredible blasphemies. This will be paralleled in the Maccabean books about Antiochus Epiphanes. And he will thrive until the wrath reaches bursting point. For what has been decreed will certainly be fulfilled. And so on and so forth. Now, line 40. When the time comes for the end, and it gives a lot of interesting things, they will invade the land of splendor. Land of splendor is obviously Palestine. Line chapter 12. You can read these materials yourself. At that time, Michael, another angel, who have we had so far in this book we've never heard of in the Bible before? And I don't think Michael has appeared in any book of the Bible previously to this. I may be wrong. You can look at that concordance. This is the first appearance of these angels who are named. Now, Michael is not like Gabriel. Michael is a warrior angel, and he's supposedly often called the guardian angel of Israel. Anyway, he's in the scrolls too. There are scroll books that talk about Michael and what he's going to do on the earth and stuff like that. The great prince who mounts guard over your people. That is, he's the guardian angel of the Jewish people. Of these, those who lie in the dust, in the earth, many will awake. Some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting disgrace. Okay. Again, what's Daniel interesting for? The first expression that you can definitively say in any biblical book of the resurrection of the dead. You can point perhaps in Psalms to implications. You can say Ezekiel is talking about something in the bones passage, but Ezekiel is not talking about the resurrection of the dead in the bones passage. That's how it's been presented in spirituals and things, and the way people try to understand it. Ezekiel is giving a vision of the restoration of Israel. How our hope is gone, everything is lost, there's a valley full of bones, the kind of thing I just described to you, but God will not forsake Israel, and then they stood up a vast and immense army, meaning that at some time they will be restored and they will have this, but it's not necessarily speaking of the hip bone connected to the thigh bone and so on and so forth. It's more of an image of a restoration in the future. But anyway, some people think Ezekiel is talking about a resurrection of the dead. I don't think that that's the main thrust. In any case, it's not so specifically stated. Here it's specifically stated. Now there's a difference between this book, which seems to think of about a heaven and a hell. That is, some will awake to everlasting life, and some to everlasting disgrace. Yes, right? Isn't that true? Okay, in 2 Maccabees, that we're going to read it after the break, the dead stay dead. Only the righteous are raised. Dead don't get raised. We don't have a punishing hell like in Egyptian mythology, or later Christian mythology, or eschatology, or even some of the other people who think of a Hades and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure if Hades there's punishment going on. There's more like just like an underworld, but not like Dante's Divine Comedy. This does have punishment and heaven. That's the first specific biblical text that mentions that. So Daniel is important in many ways. If you can find me another biblical text that you think says it as clearly as that, I'd be happy to hear it. The learned will shine as brightly as the vault of heaven, and those who instructed many in virtue as bright as the stars of all eternity. But you, Daniel, keep these words secret. Seal the book until the time of the end. So we have the end time, we have the wrath, we have the resurrection